Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and this is Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. And here with me today is Rondo Fernandez. He is the owner of Mojos. Welcome, Rondo.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, a pleasure. So I know Mojos does so much for the community, and it hasn't stopped since this pandemic has started. So please tell me, what has your business been doing, and how have you had to change the way you run your business since we went into isolation?
Yeah, that's a lot. We could be here all day with talking about all the different ways we have to change. Unfortunately, our lives got turned upside down, just like most of everybody else did in this community, and we've had to every day. It seemed like the government or the officials would come out with different changes. So every day, literally, we had to make different changes, and completely come up with a whole different restaurant model. We went from being a predominantly sit down, leisurely type of restaurant. I think when people come into Mojo's, people want to come there and hang out a little bit. We're not a quick service type restaurant. And so we went from that to being takeout, and which is a big shift in culture for us. Like there's restaurants that have already been doing a lot of takeout. Like for instance, Sonny's that's right across the street. They have a drive-through already, so they were easily able to adapt to be able to do that. We had to bring Mojos out to the parking lot, and not only our existing packaging, we had to continually look at our packaging to see if it was perceived to be safe. Could we get better packaging? And then ask ourselves how we can be the best takeout restaurant. If this is our identity for the foreseeable future, for the next 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, then we have to work on being the best takeout restaurant we can be. All during a time where we had to not lay people off, but furlough a lot of our employees and work our managers. So while our salary managers are working hourly positions, they're still trying to adapt, and so there was a period of time where I had to lay back and let my team catch up and just worry about operations for a little bit and not growing the business, which was painful for me because I'm the creative guy and I'm always challenging my team to what they can do to get better. To the fact that I got called exhausting by 3 people in my leadership team, and I'm grateful to have a leadership team that feels they can push back and have that type of conversation with me to say, hey, so I had to push back on them and say, hey, I understand we're gonna try to just float for this next week and a half, but I am especially having to be at home the whole time, my mind's doing nothing but spinning and running on how to be better. So what we've done is we've adjusted. I said, hey, I need every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I need my entire leadership team in the office, and we're going to work on creativity day. That's our day to get better. So every time I have an idea, whatever, I just save it for Wednesday, and then on Wednesday I unload on my team so they can concentrate for 4 days out of the week on having to operate and be the best operators they can. But on Wednesday's our day to get better. So I can take 1,000 things and if they pull one out of, my director of operations called sifting, right? It's like mining. So, they sift through the stuff and then hopefully we can find a nugget. And each week we've been able to find a nugget. We didn't talk about 1,000 different things, and we're usually able to take one thing out of it that makes us a little bit better. And
That's wonderful.
every day has been growing and changing. And even today, I had to go to Home Depot this morning and make curbside signs to be able to properly do curbside. We have a golden rule that's the guest never lifts their finger. It's a challenge to keep that golden rule in place every single day. But basically, so what I told my management team with the curbside, to see all these folks getting out of their cars and everything to come pick up to go, that was a pain for me. because our golden rule is a guest never lifts their finger. So we're asking guests to go and park and stand and stay there and wait in the tent and all that stuff and that's not good for me. So we're putting in ways that they can just completely not have to lift a finger. So that's what we're working on today. So every single day is different on how to get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
sure.
my team is completely exhausted. My management team is completely exhausted. It's exhausting not only physically, but it's extremely exhausting mentally. And within these last 2 to 3 days, I can tell you that every single one of my management team is wearing it on their face. Instead of not only are they managing food and managing service, but they're also now they're nurses, right? They're temping everybody, all the employees that come in, and they're asking them medical questions, and they're also now having to manage social distancing and hygiene and all these types of things that they have to manage now, and it's mentally exhausting for them,
Sure.
so it's so how do we overcome that? So basically, I've pulled back a lot of the different things that were important to me that we've done, just so they can just concentrate on operations and try to help them get through it.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard that a lot, that it has been exhausting for a lot of people. So, how are you helping your team manage the stress? I mean, you're recognizing it, you're seeing it, yet, you continue to operate, day after day. How are you as a leader responding to that?
Well, there's several different levels of that. From your director of operations to instead of acting like his leader or boss, just kind of succumbing to him a little bit and saying, hey, how can I be hands for you? Instead of asking him to do things or say, what do you need me to do? So every day I send him a text and how can I help you the best? Is it running around? Is it putting eyes on something? How can I be your assistant? And also asking him, how can I help you be better? And just like today, he said, we've been doing these parking lot parties at 200 to try to drum up business and kind of provide some normality for people. And he asked that I postpone this Friday, and I agreed. I was already kind of leaning that way, because there's one more thing for my management team to have to manage
Right.
instead of operations. They had to manage a special event out in the patio. So we pulled that back. And for my management team, it's the same thing is making sure they get their days off. Our managers are still been able to get their 2 days off, which is really important.
Hmm.
And the same thing, how can we help you? What can we do? Can I do any running around for you? Deliveries, those types of things. If you can just kind of be some hands for them, that's how we've been helping. For our entire team, we do have a team pastor for all locations. Each Mojo's location has its own team chaplain, and as well as my office. My front office has their own team chaplain as well. So they can reach out to them and talk to them. The team chaplains have been texting my entire employment staff, contacting them just to make sure they're okay.
Oh,
They've
fantastic.
been given funds to be able to minister to our team. Grinders was nice enough to donate funds that we can put in a chaplain fund so they can minister to my employees. Making sure my employees, my management team has been in contact with all of our employees, every single one of our employees weekly.
Wow. Wow.
Really
That's
important.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's the exhausting stuff I'm talking about. but
Yeah.
it's important. It's important that to me it's important that a management staff reaches out to their employees and to make sure they're okay. And
Yeah.
and we've been able to make sure that our employees, if they needed anything, they have it.
That's
Whether it be
wonderful.
food or whatever, we made sure. Another big thing for me was making sure that all their benefits maintained, paid. I'm really proud to say that due to the community support, that that we've been able to maintain everybody's health insurance benefits during this time. So
Wow.
everybody's up to date and caught up. Even some of the furloughed people, we maintain and continue to pay their health insurance, so their health insurance didn't lapse. Uh,
Wow. That's fantastic, Rondo.
yeah, so those are just some important things as far as stress. Really relying on the team chaplains to provide some stress relievers, and
Sure.
of course, the normal things, going to Sonics and picking up slushies for the guys. And we're doing pizza and fried chicken, and so everybody's been kept well fed and and taken care of.
Now that's fantastic. So now I want to hear, what has Mojo's done? What have you done personally to give back to our community during this time?
Whew. A lot. Yeah, I don't
I
want to.
know it's a lot, so take a
Yeah,
deep breath.
I don't want to sound boastful, but we have done a lot. We've partnered up with a lot of great people in Marion County to do a lot. I think the perception that Mojo's does a lot for the community, drove people to reach out with their ideas and partner up with us, which has been great. Um, but my way through a crisis is to serve through a crisis. I think serving through a crisis is the way to get out of it. Whenever I do career days at the elementary schools, I give them three principles before I leave. Three. I call it my three rules to success, and I make them repeat it. We shout it out. We scream it. Number one is love others. That's number one, by far. Number two is never give up, and number three is believe in yourself. And when I'm talking to the first grader, second grader, I often tell them, whenever you feel like you're starting to give up, and whenever you're about to stop believing in yourself, goes right back to number one and start loving others. And usually that'll put you in a perception or in a place, where it'll give you just a fresh perspective on things. And so I would be hypocritical if I didn't take my own advice, right? So Mojo's does what Mojo's does, and we just started loving others, and just started to help provide. And we've partnered up with several churches to provide meals to the frontline workers, which has been beneficial to both parties. Not only are we able to provide for them, but when partnering up with these churches and these other organizations, they've been able to help us keep those benefits paid that I was telling you about. So partnered up with some great organizations to start the Restaurant Relief. Um, every Saturday, we feed probably about 800 people. We hand out. It's amazing when you hear the numbers, but I want to say we did 34 tons of food last Saturday,
Wow.
handing out for hospitality employees, and food service workers. And on this Saturday, we're going to open it up to everybody now, not just the restaurant employees. So anybody who's in need can come through and get a huge box of produce and dairy and meat. We've been doing cash handouts. So we have a prayer team. So usually before we start opening, we'll have 100 cars in line, and every car has averaged about 5 minutes of prayer time with the prayer team.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have probably about 8 pastors from different churches in the prayer team, as well as other people that come down, and we give them cash. This last Saturday, I want to say they had about $500 to $600 on average, and that's through donations.
Mhm.
And what they do is when God, they pray with them, and God tells them to give them the $20 bill, they give a $20 bill, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's meant a lot to those people, and
Sure.
really, really opened the hearts. We've had probably around 40 to 50 recommitments right there in the line, recommitting their lives to Christ, and I just in the Bible, God calls you to be a light. and he calls you to be the salt of the earth, and that's what hospitality business is. Those guys are in the hospitality business because we love to serve, or we love to serve people, and I think that the people who truly love the hospitality business, I think that's the same frame. If you look at some of the well-known restaurants in town, you can tell what they do for the community. We have some great restaurants that do a lot for the community. The Pasta Fairs and the Latinos y Mas and Sonny's. Those three folks, we partner with them all the time to impact something in the community, and they love serving people. And that's our best servers, our best bartenders, our best cooks. The ones that love serving people they're the best because they love serving people. So that's what we do. And it was a challenge to start with because it was, every time there's been some kind of a crisis, we respond with food or hands, or and this one was just completely different. It's like, man, we can't make a bunch of food and call a bunch of people together and serve them. Like during the hurricane, we were just feeding everybody and getting together, and you can't do that during something like this. So how do you really make an impact?
Yeah.
So we've done that. This Friday we're going to feed a bunch of truckers and thank them for all the hard work they've been doing and restocking the stores and all that. So we're going to be but there's just I don't know, it's just and serving keeps my mind off, keeps our mind off what we're going through, and so that's just some of the stuff that we've done in the community. Dropping the hand sanitizer, people don't have it. It's all kinds of little things, picking up from food banks and dropping food off to food banks, and there's been a lot of that. But you can if I don't do that, it's either that or start crying.
Well, that is
but just yes, ma'am.
I just can't get over how much you've done. I mean, I heard about some things that you had done, and some of the things that I heard about you didn't even mention. So I know you have done so much, and I know that you really feel for those employees that you had to furlough, but to be able to continue to pay for their health insurance, that's an incredible gift. Now, are you hoping that you can rehire them once we start coming out of this?
Yeah, well, most of them are back currently. So
they are great.
The PPP funding allowed us to bring those folks back. Now we still have some folks that don't feel comfortable coming back, and we understand that. So they're staying home. But we also have a lot that are coming back. We're taking it. This sounds weird, but we're taking advantage of the fact that a lot of folks haven't got their benefits yet. I mean, their unemployment, all that stuff. Those folks are coming back. A lot of folks that have started receiving them want to stay at home, and we understand that, right? A lot of them are currently bringing in more than they would make in a week, so they would lose money coming to work. You hate to say it like that, but so we're going against that a little bit, but we have a really loyal group. And we have a lot of folks that just couldn't wait to get back and see their customers again and see the folks again. So just about everybody that we have has come back. Our foundational pieces have come back. There's been some kind of, our backbone of our company is all come back. And that's important. There's some new folks and things like that. And some folks that maybe weren't invested in the Mojos like some of these other folks have been, but they've all come back. So
that's wonderful. So tell me, how can your neighbor help? How can a friend help that doesn't own a restaurant like you do? What do you think the average person in our community can do to make a difference during this time?
That's easy, right? So
love others. Number one.
That's number one. Love others. And it's not always so easy, but checking in on others. What helps me out the most is the Bible, right? So when Jesus talks about leaving the 99, and also when they're talking about when they're talking about the importance of when one is saved, the heavens rejoice. That just goes to show you that one person means a lot to God. One person means a lot to Jesus, and so one person should mean a lot to you. And don't get overwhelmed with going, man, this is such a big. I could never make. I could never make a difference. You don't have to change the world, but you definitely have the power to change somebody's world, right?
Sure.
And feel powerful through this. In Ephesians 1:19, it says you have an incomparably great power if you believe. So just believe, and that gives you the power to get through life and be able to impact things and make a change. And like the Breathe Don't Break, the campaign that we launched. You have the power. If you're having just a great day or a spirit-filled day, you have the ability to take time while you're having coffee and text one other mom that you know of and just seeing how she's doing. Text 5 people every couple of days and see how they're doing. Check on their kids. Say, hey, I'm at the grocery store. There's a whole bunch of toilet paper here. Can I bring you a roll?
Right.
Just those types of things. When you realize that you have the power individually, every single person that I've ever met in my entire life has the ability to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
do. You just do. And a lot of times, you feel like you're saving somebody, or you feel like you're taking care of somebody else. But what it does for you is so rewarding that a lot of times it brings your spirit. And I think God knew that, and I think that's why he put that in the Bible, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but just one act of kindness, no matter how small you think it is, sometimes will make a huge ripple in somebody's life to ask them to keep going. And so that's what I would do for anybody that says they want to help others. Take whatever is hurting your heart. The Holy Spirit, there's something on your heart, right? So everybody's walked by and go, man, somebody ought to do something about that, or man, that's unfortunate, or man, thing. You have the ability to do something about it. So take whatever is breaking your heart and make an impact. Join somebody who's already doing. Chances are, whatever's hurting your heart is hurting somebody else's heart, and they've already started something. And they're already doing something. So see who they're doing stuff that's impacting. Really, number one is love others and and start at home. That's really important. Right now with the Breathe Don't Break thing, it started because we heard that child abuse is taking a huge spike because of stress inducing and people are shut now that the abuser is sheltering at home. But just talking to the stress part of it, I relate to it. There was one day where my world came crashing down at Mojo's, right? I have no idea where my company's going. I had to lay off. I had to furlough one of a guy who's been with me since day one. Very emotional day, stressful day. I walk in the house, and just like everybody else, the house is a mess. Or maybe the kids didn't do what you wanted to do, or and I verbally abused my kids one day, and that wasn't the right way to do it. I still sometimes out of stress will say some cuss words or say something that you're not supposed to do. Almost daily, I mess up and I got to go back and and fix that, and apologize to my kids and to. So there's some stress things in there. So loving others starts at home, and there's some stress things that you guys can do. Like yesterday, my wife was reaching a little bit of a breaking point. So upon seeing that, I told my wife to get in our Blazer, took the top down, and we went to Miss Stevie's for ice cream. And
Yeah, there you go.
so just seeing those types of things, and we just went for a ride with the top down,
Yes.
So taking time, slowing down, start at home, and to take time for yourself too is really, really important to help make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. That is really beautiful. And I appreciate so much your letting people know that you may think that you can't change the whole world, but it really does start with just one person, and every person that you can reach out to and share love with, right? Love others. it can make a huge difference. And I think sometimes people do hesitate. Well, you know, what's that going to do? It's just one phone call, but it can really change someone's day. So thank you for that. Very simple, but very powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for all that you've done. Even before this pandemic started, you have always been so generous to our community, Rondo. And I know I speak for all of Ocala when I say thank you so much. We appreciate all that you do and all that you're doing now. And I just want to encourage everybody to order dinner tonight from Mojo's.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hallelujah.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You got it. You take care and God bless you, okay?
You bet.